Around air purification industry, my contribution is that I've done a lot of technical background, technical patents, and it has been even tested on SARS-CoV-2, like live SARS-CoV, not a surrogate species, but actual SARS-CoV-2, and we were able to get really good results. We are very happy and proud to say that in last 6 months only, we've been able to get into more than 1,000 homes, released microorganisms in the air, right, and then saw what's the reduction that we were able to get.
Greetings, everyone. Today, IT Voice is in conversation with Mr. Ravi Kaushik. He is the CEO and founder at Airth, and he has been a part of Airth for the last 3 years and 5 months. So today we'll be talking to him about the industry, about his contributions. So thank you so much for being a part of this, for agreeing to do this. Let's start with a couple of questions about your role at Earth and your background in the air purification industry.
Right. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Happy to be a part of such an initiative. Around air purification industry, my contribution is that I've done a lot of technical background, technical patents, then mathematical modeling, computational modeling, then prototype development, MVP development. So all of that around R&D or typical R&D, that is what I've done. And then taking that research to market is something that I've been a part of at Airth. So my journey started from IIT Bombay when I decided to major in aerosol science. Aerosol science is more technical word of air pollution. So that is what I wanted to study. Then got hold of a lot of sophisticated instruments like CPC, SMPS, OPC, etc., optical particle sizer, etc., etc. And that's how my journey into this industry started. So that's the very fundamental on which I'm standing today.
Okay. And what were there any specific problems that you had always in mind that these were the problems that I wanted to address through Earth?
Yeah, sure. Yes, it was very clear to me. Like water is something uh, you've already have a lot of solutions, right? Also, major thing is you can see that this water is polluted most of the times, right? Or you can, when you drink it, you can feel it and you can spit it out. Like this is not right water for me. I'll not drink this. I'll go to my home and then drink clean water. However, that is not the case with air. Although you might be able to feel it, you know it that okay, this is very highly polluted or dangerous air, but there is no chance that you can say okay, let me not breathe this air, I'll go to my home and then I'll breathe it, right? So that is never the case. Air remains a problem which still has no boundaries, right? Just like how
Yeah.
you can put water in a bottle, right, or in a glass, you can't do that with air. It has no boundaries and you cannot see it, and that's why this challenge is very difficult to solve. And being an engineer, difficult the problem, more intrigued you are to solve it. So that was my intent. Also, I am born and brought up here in Delhi, so my personal experiences also helped me to have this goal to change how people breathe. So this is what I am doing now.
Wonderful. So, from what I understand, innovation and technology are at the core of what you and your team do. So, are there any particular innovations that set your air purifiers apart from, let's say, your competitors?
Yeah. So let's say you have an air purifier at your home, and that has been working for last 3 months beside you. How would you feel knowing the fact that it has all the germs inside it, right? Those germs are growing there inside your air purifier and can resuspend in the air around you to infect you and people around you. That's a challenge with current
Yeah.
air purification system and filters. So what we've done is like air purifiers can only help you from air pollution, not from disease transmission. We developed filters which are capable to destroy germs, and We have developed a coating with IISc Bangalore. IISc Bangalore holds the patent for it. We have license over it because we helped in the development of it. And it has been even tested on SARS-CoV-2, like live SARS-CoV, not a surrogate species, but actual SARS-CoV-2. And we were able to get really good results. We have tested on virus, we have tested on bacteria, so that your air purifier never becomes a breeding ground for germs. Not only that, what we have developed is world's first air purifier for your ACs. There is no concept, there has been no concept similar to this. Uh, right? How this came into existence is basically, uh, look, whenever you get into your home, right, or
Mm.
in any room, uh, first two or three things that you turn on would be first light, second anything related to air, be it fan or AC. You might be having a air purifier at some part of your room or in your house, but it will never occur to you to turn it on. That's the problem, right? It will never occur to you.
Mm.
And that's why there is this habit gap. What we have developed is like people should breathe clean air, and how we can break the cost barrier and also the barrier of habit. So that's how we've integrated something in something which you already have as an habit, which is AC, right? So air purifier has a cabinet, a body, a
Mm.
fan, and a filter. In air ACs, you already have a cabinet or a body and
Mm.
fan. You just
Yeah.
need a very good engineered filter. So that is what we have been able to develop. And very happy and proud to say that in last 6 months only, we've been able to get into more than 1,000 homes. And that's an achievement for a new concept and a new category altogether. And people are using our product and really happy. We are able to eliminate 4 tablespoon, 4 चम्मच, वो जो पत्ती वगैरह जो हम
Huh.
खाते हैं, 4 चम्मच of dust getting into
Oh,
your lungs in a span of 6 to 12 months. So all these
got it.
testings we have done at IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, IIT Bombay. So we've tested it throughout.
It's actually quite impressive because, again, from what I understand, your innovations stem from very basic needs, like very low hanging fruits, unfortunately, that nobody has yet addressed. So I think that's nice because, that is eventually what leads to scalability. Do you have any other, like types of air purifiers? I know you talked about your AC system and the dust cleaning wala. But are there any other product? Like, what is the range like? Who are your target customers?
Right. So yeah, we do have a couple of products now. So basically, what we stand on is our filter,
Hmm.
which is capable to protect you from air pollution and disease transmission. You can put that filter in your AC and make it AC ka air purifier. Then you have fresh air units. For example, in your home, in your classroom, in let's say where your office space is, the CO2
Yeah.
level can be really high because
Hmm.
CO2 is also not a classified primary pollutant, but it hinders your productivity. It actually makes your the pH of your blood to be acidic, right? So it is actually very dangerous. In older times, CO2 was used for anesthesia, right? And
Okay.
so that is one of the gases that make you sleepy and less productive. So that's where what we are doing, we are putting in fresh air through our filters, which are able to protect you from again air pollution, disease transmission, and also our standalone unit, which is antimicrobial air purifier for your rooms. And we have recently developed something for central air conditioning system for large buildings, and happy to say that we are able to decrease energy consumption and provide clean air at the same time. We have done couple of pilots with organizations like DPCC, Delhi Pollution Control Committee, in collaboration with IIT Delhi, then IIT Kanpur, where we were able to save 36% energy and at the same time provide more than 80% clean air. Right? So these are some case studies that we've been able to do, and that was our intent before going
Hmm.
into the market. We wanted to have very successful, very credible long-term case studies, and that's what our objective has been, and hopefully we soon will launch it in commercial market.
Understood. Now, coming to the quality assurance and testing part, usually when white goods like air purifiers are talked about, we have to also talk about what are the kinds of quality standards that you try to meet. What are some, let's say, what is the certification process like? If you could throw some
Right.
light on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, sure. So ours is not a white good product. Yeah,
Okay.
most of the other brands do have white good product. They take it from China, Taiwan, etc., and
Hmm.
just paste their name and sell it because of huge chain of distribution that they have. We don't do it. We make it here in India. Most of, except for from some mandatory sensors which are not being manufactured here in India, we try to do everything here in India.
Hmm.
That is what we are doing fundamentally. And then quality assurance, again, you need to check for your product what all certifications are required. For example, in our case, you check ISO or a BIS, and then there are other lot of certifications. But for BIS, we don't have any regulatory certification that is mandatory as on this stage. They are under development,
Okay.
and that's why it is not required. Although we have done all the testings that is required. For example, in air purifiers, it's CADR, clean air delivery rate, which is pretty important parameter, and we have tested that. Then for example, you should do electrical safety test, EMI, EMC testing. That also we have done. Then ROHSC certification, right? ROH is basically all the components that you are taking, right, in your product. Are they are they not hazardous? So that's
Hmm.
a conformity for that. And then for CE, you need to go through a lot of certification. It's very expensive, particularly not good for startups unless you are selling it in mass scale, which usually Chinese white good products do. Then for performance, you can do multiple testings for air purifiers, single pass, efficiency test, then chamber test. We have done all of those. Then we have tested that we are able to, we released microorganisms in the air, right? And then saw what's the reduction that we were able to get. We have done testing on SARS-CoV-2. We have done testing on black fungus, mucormycosis. They have done
Hmm.
testing even on drug resistant microbes. So all of these testings that I was talking about has been done at various CSIR labs. CSIR, one of the most premium labs, government labs in India. And we have done our testing from CSIR NPL, National Physical Lab, CSIR IM Tech Institute of Microbial Technology, then CSIR CDRI Lucknow, where we have tested on drug resistant microbes. So all of these CSIR labs, and that's how we gain credibility.
Understood. Also, for building a product as complex as yours, I'm sure you guys must have faced a lot of challenges initially. So, could you maybe talk about what the challenges were and how did you eventually overcome them and what were your learnings from them?
In terms of technology, because coming from a very solid background in the same arena of aerosol science, that was not a challenge for me, to be very frank, in terms of developing the entire technology, doing mathematical modeling, doing simulations. And then because I have done minor in entrepreneurship, so that's how I kind of understood the concept of MVP, minimum viable product, then POC, proof of concept, right?
Yeah.
And that I was able to do. But once you are at that stage of developing your prototype, right, then you have versions of prototype version 1, 2, 3, and then when you have to go into the market, right? So you can make anything in lab, right, or let's say in warehouse. But if you have to sell it in like open market, then it's a different ball game altogether. So that knowledge is something is missing, I feel, in all the engineers that I see today. And you need hands-on experience for that. You have to
Mm.
go to a lot of manufacturing spaces to understand that, right? That is what we have done. That has been our biggest challenge in terms of making a market-ready product. There's a lot of things which is required, and there are a lot of limitations which are there. You have to work on your industrial design, engineering design at the same time. The concept or the technology of your product should remain intact. So all of that, it's very complicated, and that's why you need to get on the shop floor, warehouse floor, get things done with other people who are good at industrial design, engineering design, and you who are good at the technology part of it. So it's and then because you have PCB, etc., then there is some guy who's developing the PCB. It's very complicated. You need to do iterations, also very expensive.
Yeah.
And that's how I think you should first develop PUCs that help you understand what you should do, and that helps you to save a lot of money in terms of wastage.
So is it safe to say that the industry for again a product such as yours, such a complex air purifier, the industry is fairly nascent?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yes. This industry is fairly nascent. Also, there is a CAGR of around 28%, which anyways happens only for a nascent stage industry. When it is kind of at saturation, it shall not grow more than 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10%, right? So, having a CAGR of 30% itself indicates it's a fairly nascent market. Also, I believe there is a disconnect in terms of purchase that people do versus benefit they get. I'm saying this because I'm sure many people who would be listening to this podcast would be having an air purifier, and they might not have used it even once in last 12 months, right? So that's why you've bought it, for example, 10, 20,000 rupees, but you've not used it for
Yeah.
your own health benefit. Only reason is it's preventive, and that's why we feel it's important that it should get into your habit. We are finding right ways to get this into your habit structure so that you don't if you spend money on it, you get right value out of it.
And let's say 10 years down the line, how do you see the industry and other players apart from you and your team? How do you see the industry evolving in the next decade? And what role do you envision your company to play in that?
How the industry will grow, basically, I'm sure there will be a lot of copycats, which we have already started hearing. There's yet to come by. But yeah, I'm sure there will be a lot of copycats, particularly for our AC or our air purifier, because that's a very cool concept, and people are completely onto that concept and getting value. Right. Apart from that, what we are constantly working on is to make ourselves better. If we are competing ourselves, I'm sure we will outrun the competitors because they can think what you've already built, but what how you're thinking, like it's more like 10 steps ahead of it.
Yeah.
But as a value again, like there are a lot of air purifiers, approximately 3 lakh to 5 lakh units are being, or more than that, are being sold in India every year. But I don't think people again use it. So that's a challenge. We need to figure out how to make it habit forming again, so that people are able to value what they are purchasing. That's the only thing which I'm really worried about as a market altogether, because if if you don't use it, you certainly don't feel it has any value to it, and then it kind of becomes an obsolete product for you at least, and you won't believe it. Also, what happens, for example, you have an air purifier, you usually purchase it, for example, people in 30s 50, 35 wish around, they purchase it for their old parents or
Mm.
their kids, right? Both of these segments are never going to turn on any air purifier, right? Can you imagine like my parents turning on air purifier? I don't think they would be like bijli ka bill aa jayega, right?
Yeah.
And kids, they are onto screens, right? They are onto their mobiles. They don't take care about what they are breathing. So
Mm.
that again, there is a disconnect. So as an industry, we should think of how to make it more habit forming. And for example, in US, you have all these central air conditioning systems, even in the homes, right?
Mm.
And that's where you have filters. Although their outdoor air quality is really good, under 10 PM 2.5, and ours is like Average for last 6 months, including the monsoon season in Delhi NCR, was around 170. So it's
Okay.
that bad. So just to give you a comparison, what people usually breathe here in India is approximately 10x polluted than what people breathe in America. Let's take another perspective of this. This essentially means that uh, a 10-year-old kid here in India would have taken in so much dust or pollution which a person in America would take when he's 100-year old.
My God. That
So
that's an
that's the
actual
difference.
statistic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the difference. Like we breathe 10x more polluted. I'm sure it would be much higher than that. I'm taking very conservative figures.
Okay, that is quite
Yeah, yeah.
a prominent figure. So let's talk about some future developments. Could you throw some light on what are your plans for expansion, your long-term goals going forward?
Yeah, so we are planning to go global. So we basically what we are saying is we are making air conditioning system more efficient, be it in your home on or in large buildings, right? So and how we are making them efficient is by a couple of things that we are doing, something that I can't disclose at this point in time. But heat exchange efficiency, right? Air conditioning system is all about heat exchange efficiency. If you are able to make that heat exchange efficiency better in some way, you don't have to run your AC for that long,
Mhm.
right? And also with our filters you get clean air. So that's what we are doing. We are making air conditioning system more efficient as we go into the future, because uh, in any building, right, a large building, 50% of the bill, electricity bill, is only for the air conditioning system. So that is kind of the cost, that is kind of electricity that
Okay.
is required for any large building to be air conditioned. If we are able to decrease that, we will have much greener buildings which will be ESG and EHS compliant. So this is what we are thinking as our way forward.
Sounds quite optimistic. And I just hope that actually, culminates into the goal that
Thank
you have. And so, being a startup, are you planning to go bootstrap or aiming to raise VC funds for achieving the goals that you mentioned?
So for hardware, it's very challenging that you can't go bootstrap. You either have to be in, for example, servicing sector, right, to be bootstrapped, or any SaaS kind of startup where you are able to make something and then start selling it and then make it better as you grow. For hardware, you have to spend a lot of money. For example, we have spent a lot of money in R&D. All these testings
Mhm.
that I've talked about, they don't come cheap, right? So that's a challenge. And what we have done so far is we've been lucky to get government support, but at the same time we knew that this is not something that we can sustain just with government funding. So we've raised money back in 2021 September approximately. So that's when we raised money, and yeah, now we are going forward, focusing on our revenues. So that's the goal. We are pretty sure that we will have to raise again. It won't be like we can continue our just the revenues. Again, reason being a lot of R&D that goes, right. So the air conditioning system that I'm talking about, it takes a lot of hard work, lot of research, then months of testing, months of validation, right? And only then you go out in the industry saying that okay, this is a product that you anybody in the world or at least in India can use. So it's quite a challenge in developing or taking any R&D to that extent, is super duper challenging.
So, on the same note, do you have any final advice for budding entrepreneurs, since you were also an entrepreneur, and especially those who are, trying to enter this space of like the environment, which is currently a very hot topic as well. So, do you have any advice for people?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I do a lot of such. these workshops, which I now recently I don't, but because I've been invited couple of times, so I've made a pitch deck which I usually show to people, budding entrepreneurs. But one of the best advice they can get is mostly people focus on their solution, and that is the worst part, right? Just imagine, how can you get people to work with you? How can
Hmm.
you get investors? How can you get mentors? Mentors, you can never give them enough money. They've already learned so many things that you can't hire them at all, right? How can you get them, right? Or people who are doing very good in their industry, right? And you want them to, okay, yeah, you are doing something good, but I want your skills. We don't have that kind of money, but do you still want to come? Right? And how will that person say yes? It will not, definitely not be about your solution. It will always be about just one thing, that is, what is the problem statement that you are solving. And that is the thing that all of us forget, all of us, seriously. You will get teammates when you are able to very effectively justify uh, the problem that you are solving, how big of a problem that is. You will get mentors, not because you have money to give them as advisory fees, or you have stocks to give them, because that's worth nothing. How will you get them is because they are content with their own life, but they, what they want is others to grow, some young chap to grow who is doing right for the society in some way, right? And again,
Hmm.
that boils down to a problem statement. You will get investors when you have right vision or right problem statement. So this is what you should do. And if you, again, just one more point I would really like to just mention: if you or your family are in any kind of financial distress, don't go for entrepreneurship at least for 2 3 years, and take it for granted for first 1.5 to 2 years at least you will not make any money.
Got it. So that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much once again for taking out time and doing this with us. And I know that you have shared so many wonderful insights. A lot of things while listening to you, I was thinking, okay, this is something I've never thought about, especially something as important as air. It affects our physical health, it often affects our mental health. So thank you so much for doing that. And I know our viewers and readers would greatly benefit from it as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.